energy is unpredictable. But let's go further. Let's talk about why this energy is unpredictable. Like, I need to like drive home the actual warning of it first before I give you the cookie. So if it goes, or like KadyRoxz didn't tell you shit. Okay? I gave you the lay of the land and said make the best decision possible, honey. Okay, so you're not gonna set me up, not me, not me. Hi you guys, I'm Kady. Welcome to my channel. This is the intro. I have no fancy intro yet because every time I was like, oh, I don't have an intro yet, I just kept not posting content and it became a blockage to actually getting this channel started. So here we are. This is the intro. Hi, I'm KadyRoxz. I'm a singer and songwriter and spiritualist who creates content about my music, but also spiritual healing, which sometimes is light and fluffy and makes you feel good, and sometimes it's about doing the shadow work and taking accountability for the ways that we repeat cycles or allow cycles to repeat. Okay, so that said, if the content feels good and applicable, amazing. But if it's uncomfortable, it's not something you want to work on, it's okay to scroll. You don't need to argue with me and tell me how it's not your story. It doesn't matter that it's not your story. It's somebody's story. You can just click off. Okay. That said, today we are talking about Mercury in retrograde 2022, January. I feel like I am starting to get a bit of a reputation as a retrograde debunker, right? As we saw with the Venus in retrograde, where for a while, because people were like, you are not the only content creator to do this. I'm like, baby, please check the time, the date stamps. All the videos you saw on the same topic as mine came out their mind because they saw that like they were getting engagement from talking about it, because everybody else is like, we're going to talk about the stereotypical elements and boom, boom, boom. But there's something to be said about being brave enough to like go the path uncharted. Okay, not to give myself a pat on the back, but just as a reminder that sometimes it's okay to discuss things that are not as popular. Okay, and so like I said, as seen with the Venus retrograde when I went the route, let's talk about the financial opportunities that Venus in retrograde is bringing you. Okay, so in that same way, I want to offer you kind of like a different perspective about Mercury in retrograde, okay? Now, what I will say is that the stereotypical exes be coming back, conversations be going left, as I definitely just saw, as like people were like, she's saying X, Y. I'm like, nothing like that was said in my video. Everybody is taking my words out of proportion in my video. Yes, because we were in the shadow period of Mercury in retrograde. So nobody was listening. Nobody wants to hear what was actually being said. They just wanted to be like, I'm going to react, or I'm going to get engagement from getting people to be reactive. It was a very gross time, but fuck it, because it's, Mercury in retrograde. So yes, those things are definitely happening. Videos are going to struggle to upload. Content's going to struggle to upload. Emails are going to get lost. Yes, especially in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius literally rules technology in the collective. Yes, I got milli-whopped for saying what I said. Or actually, I got milli-whopped for people not understanding what I said, because I said it on the internet to the collective. Aquarius. But what was really wonderful was that if you look at that post, it had over 90,000 likes and 3,000 people commenting that it did help them, and it got me like 10,000 new followers, all of which like, this is helpful. So it helped more people than it aggravated, which again, if something is not your story and it doesn't apply to you, all you got to do is... But it's fun to fight on the internet because most of y'all don't want to be fighting in public. Most of y'all wouldn't pull. I'm not saying all of y'all would get dog walked by me, but I'm saying I would probably get my ass beat to fight some of you because you're annoying, okay? Fuck you. Anyways, it's the principle sometimes, whatever. But people just like to be feisty on the fucking internet because they don't got the balls to be feisty in real life. But like me, I'm sorry. But that's another thing. Y'all be like, oh, she's a spiritualist. She's not going to clap back, baby. But like, don't let this ashe and cocoa butter and incense fool you, baby. We don't do this out here. We don't do this out here. I'm from Memphis. Okay, we don't do that out here. Like, the weakest bitch in Memphis is harder than a lot of you motherfuckers. So anyways, but I digress. Anyways. So a lot of the stereotypical stuff you hear about retrograde is true. Let's take it a little further, okay? Something that I don't think a lot of people realize is that there's a lot of benefit that can come from Mercury being in retrograde, especially in the sign of Aquarius. I was looking for the article. So like if you saw my screen was up because I had this article saved for this exact moment, but it was no longer in my bookmarks. And then when I Googled it, like Google was like, I clearly know what you're talking about because like the phrase was like, it predicted the phrase. People have been searching for this, but then nothing came up. So I'm wondering if this company scrubbed the internet of articles about this because they don't want people to know. It's very peculiar. But the article that I found, and it's not like a published article like on a magazine website, it was like a thesis paper for a grad student, some school. Anytime somebody, like anybody who's like trying to get, is it a master's or maybe it's the PhD, whoever has to like publish a full paper to get their degree, you know, those things are published publicly, like it's on like the server of their school, but you can Google and find those things. So a lot of times when I'm doing these deep dives for like more information on a very specific topic within astrology, I find a lot of papers. And so in this instance, it was about the astrology of money, about how to make money with astrology, all of that. And what was really interesting is that like a good portion of this paper was dedicated to Mercury in retrograde. What the writer of the paper had found was that a lot of the major companies that have been successful for years were founded during Mercury in retrograde. Interestingly enough, even though everyone was like, don't do business, launch business during Mercury in retrograde, I feel like it has to be, I think it's more nuanced than we once believed, because again, I would not have ever been like, start the business during Mercury in retrograde. And honestly, this might work only with the larger companies that have like the different departments where more things can be delegated. So I can see launching a business being more problematic for a small team or individual person because there's too many balls that can be dropped. So that's another disclaimer around this. But like, I hope the same people who scrub the internet for those articles don't find this, but like GE Motors was founded during Mercury retrograde, guys. And if you're not familiar with that company, I want to say it was the first company to ever land at #1 on Forbes. What is it? Fortune 100 company. It was the first one. And I want to say, I don't want to misquote, but I believe for 7 years straight, it was always #1. And GE Motors has been a beast. And I think it's worth considering the fact that it was founded during Mercury in retrograde. Okay, so today what I really want to talk about, I'm not saying go start the business, because again, like you have a lot of things that are not working for you. Like what do we just see happen on my page? People were like, being triggered by something I think that was the most chaotic part. They were being triggered by something I didn't say. Everyone was like, so you're saying I don't deserve love? You're saying I don't deserve reciprocation? Baby, the video, I literally said, yes, you deserve that. So like people were arguing my point, but they were arguing my point against me, because I was like, hi guys, stop pouring into people who don't like you and don't reciprocate, because they're not going to reciprocate and you can't force them to reciprocate, and you deserve to reciprocate. And everybody was fighting with me about that. I'm like, I literally said you deserve it. That's the whole point of the video, is that you deserve it. Ugh! Right? And so like that is a good example. My dog's like, what the is wrong with her? Momo, hey, there's no danger. I'm just a jackass. Yeah, thanks. It was not even an example of me saying the wrong thing. It was people just misinterpreting or just misunderstanding willfully or accidentally what was said. So Mercury in retrograde is just a really difficult time for people to communicate. Okay, so like I don't want to, and especially what house it falls into, because like it's in my 11th house of the collective of the people, of my people, like my house where like I usually thrive, because I have what do I have natally in that house? Like I'm always going back and forth between Placidus and whole house in my head, because for me I consider both at all times. I'm always considering both, and it changes. In whole house, Uranus and Anyways, Uranus being in that house means it's fair game for me to get my weird bitch on. Like, it's why you see the fucking tabloids like New York Post and the Daily Mail talking shit about my content and me being a weird bitch, because Uranus is the master of all weird bitches, and 11th house is the collective. And so it's like, wow, you're gonna be like a spokesperson amongst weird bitches everywhere when Uranus is in the 11th house, because 11th house is the network, the community, the people around you, but it's also like a form of leadership. It's but not like leadership like the 10th house where it's like, I'm famous, I'm a bad bitch, I'm in charge, I'm Kim Kardashian. Like, 11th house leadership is like leadership through service. So it's like me making these videos like, hi, I want to help you live a better life. Hi, I want to help you do shadow work. Hi, I really want you to find the love of your life. I want you to do what you love. I want you to learn from my life so that you can live a better life. So it's like, I am creating content that I hope anyway is of value to you. And then you're like, I want to keep watching her content and I'm going to recommend it to other people who it can help. So it's like leadership that comes from being of service. And so being of service to weird, but also spiritual things. Like, Uranus is a super spiritual planet. It's like Neptune is. In fact, Uranus is a higher octone. Somebody in the comments correct me. Is it octone or octave? My brain is... I was late taking my ADHD meds today, guys, so my brain's still kind of... I might be saying this backwards because, you know what, I have no shame in saying things wrong. People make mistakes and neurodivergency. But yeah, Uranus is a higher octave of Neptune. So they're both very spiritual in nature. So it's like spirituality, boom, boom, boom. Okay, all of that to say, where this falls in your natal chart matters. So like, that's why it was really brutal for me a bit, because it was in a public house for me. And so for people, it's also in the 10th house of, it's going to be a little brutal for you. If I would say if you're not careful, but it's like, I could not have been more intentional with my words. Well, maybe I could have, but like, I could not predict how people would misconstrue. Like, I would have been like, I would have had to been That's So Raven, and like, I know exactly how people are going to take this left to have avoided that. So it was difficult. So all of that to say, you can be really careful, but you can't predict the ways that people will misunderstand you. So for people who have this in the 11th and 10th house, and so for most people, actually, if you are Aries rising, you have it in your 11th house as well. The reason I have that, even though I'm not an Aries rising, is that my Pisces rising is at a late degree. Typically, if your rising is like after the 25th degree, most of your readings are going to fall in line with the sign that comes after yours. Yeah, Pisces, Aries, right? So it's like the Aries readings are usually for me, because people are doing them based on the rising sign. Most of my first house is Aries. It just, Pisces is on the cusp. So like Aries risings and then Pisces risings like me, who have their rising signs at a late degree, you have this in the 11th house. People are trying to millywop you, right? So it's like whatever house Aquarius is in, and then of course it's gonna keep moving. My puppy is so cute, and it's gonna like end up in Capricorn. Yeah, I didn't check my notes, but I feel confident. It's moving into Capricorn. So also, who would have this in the 10th house? Aquarius risings, right? You need to be careful. And then again, I guess Placidus, I'm speaking from a Placidus point of view. Placidus, whole house. So if we were to take Placidus and whole house into account, then we're looking at Aries, Pisces, and Aquarius, and Capricorns having this in public houses, right? Be very careful. But if Aquarius is in one of your personal houses, like your personal people to people, like the 4th house, the 7th house, I would even call the 2nd house, the 2nd, the 4th, and the 7th house, you're going to run into these difficulties with people that you have interpersonal relationships with, your family, your close friends, your lovers, whoever that you spend day to day with. 6th house, 10th house, the workplace, right? So being careful there. I know, like, I'm taking like the longest way to get around so the money stuff, but I just kind of want to show you where you might need to be careful based on where this is sitting, because a lot of this energy is unpredictable. But let's go further. Let's talk about why this energy is unpredictable. Like, I need to like drive home the actual warning of it first before I give you the cookie that you want, so that I can say, hey, so if it goes, or like KadyRoxz didn't tell you shit. Okay, I gave you the lay of the land and said make the best decision possible, honey. Okay, so you're not gonna set me up, not me, not me. No. So that's why these are disclaimers. Some of y'all are gonna be forced into some shadow work. 12th and 8th house Aquarius people. I think y'all need to be the most careful, because a lot of that is going to come through people who mean a lot to you. A lot of that's going to come through people who can trigger you, aka for a lot of you that's going to be exes coming back offering you something that looks like something you want, but ultimately it will not be what you want, because it's supposed to trigger a tower moment for you. So if you have Aquarius or even Capricorn in your 12th or 8th house, please be careful, or please be prepared, because sometimes you can't avoid a tower moment. You just need that to get to where you're going. Like, if you value this page and you're like, I learn a lot of cool stuff about myself from Kady, it's awesome that she can teach me this. What I would also like for you to understand on the other side of that is that a lot of things that I know is because I have many, many tower moments. I have a lot of I had to go through the codependency. I had to go through the depression. I had to go through the poverty. I had to go through these places, and then not even just go there, because these things happen to us. But what can be harder is like deciding to put your feet on the ground and go, I'm at rock bottom and I'm gonna stop crying, because crying, nobody's coming for me. It's really, nobody's coming to save me. Which, it sounds easy. It's not easy, guys, because you have every reason to be sad and afraid and terrified, right? Like, when these things happen, and like, I kind of want to cry a little bit, but I'm not gonna cry on my premiere YouTube thing. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not going to fucking cry, okay? But you have every right to feel bad for yourself, because it is bad. It's horrible, and there are no options. And most of us live in countries where there's no systems in place to help us. And in fact, the systems are in place to crush us and take advantage of us and like make us the fucking back of capitalism, taking care of people who don't need the help. It makes sense to feel bad when there's a culture of like predatory practices from your money, your heart, and your goodness. It makes sense to feel bad, guys. And so it's validated, and so it's easy to go, I am a victim and I'm in pain and I need help, because you do need help. You need somebody to help you. But sometimes, guys, as I found in my life, help was not coming. I had to get tired of hearing the sound of my own tears and my own pain and go, fuck, today I'm going to stand up and I'm going to figure out what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it, which to me was really like crack the code. And like, my disclaimer there is that I've never actually been alone. What happened, and I'll tell my story in another video maybe, I kind of separated myself from my family's traditions and gifts for a long time because I didn't want a part of it. Like, I felt like, what fucking 12 or 13-year-old girl who's like in her like cute, I'm trying to, I'm watching like Mean Girls. I'm trying to be cool. I don't even know if Mean Girls was out then. I'm just, but this is when I'm Kady, like, I don't want to be talking about fucking spirits and dead people and ghost shit. Like, what do you mean? Like, catalyst for some change and saving and helping the people. Like, my daddy actually gave me the whole run of the land of what my gift was, what it was going to be used for, all of that really early. I was like, no. The reason I kind of got as millywhopped, I don't know why I like that phrase. I like that phrase. Millywhopped as I did, is that I didn't want to accept my gifts. And a lot of us are like that. A lot of us, there's a lot of things we don't technically have to go through if we were able to connect with the part of us that is the higher self, that is the ancestor, that is the guides. But a lot of us, whatever the separation is, why ever we do it, we have to go the harder route where we don't have a choice. And so like, I went the harder route until I was like, I got to figure this out, and I did a lot on my own, and I saved up some money to go to therapy for a lot of the later trauma stuff. I did go to therapy in middle school and high school, so I did go through a lot. Part of the reason why, other than the Aquarius moon, part of the reason why I'm really objective about a lot of emotional things to the point where it pisses people off is that, you know, like from the age of like 12 and 13, I was discussing these things from a psychological standpoint. And when you have a therapist, what they are really good at doing is separating the emotional aspect of what's happening, or the moralization of what's happening, from the facts. It's not like, oh, that person was abusive, and then I fall apart talking about it. I'm like, that person was abusive because they decided to be abusive. They're probably emotionally damaged. Da 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 da. It does not mean it's okay for them to harm me, and they need to be away. You know what I mean? So like they start teaching you how to like see the world from, this is just fact. And then like, which is really good, but like it made it really hard for me to bond with people at some point. I was a really difficult person, so I'd be like, oh, well, if that hurts your feelings, then don't do that. And people are like, she is a bitch. Yes, maybe. No. But it's like sometimes I'm not as like gooey as people would like for me to be, because like my brain just developed from the point of view of being really objective, which sometimes is helpful when you're making content on a mass scale, but sometimes for people who need something a little more intimate and soft, it's difficult. And then I'm neurodivergent, and for those of you who are also like on the ADHD and autism scale, you know, like sometimes you can just be pretty direct, and people were like, what's wrong with you? Like, if you're not actively masking to make yourself like emotional and nice and all of that, sometimes it's like people just think you're a terrible person. But I'm like, no, I actually do experience empathy and I feel it. But sometimes I don't understand why we need to be empathetic about certain things and not just like logical. Like, it just doesn't click for me, you know? What were we talking about? Anyway. So that to say, when this tower moment comes for my 8th and 12th house people, be gentle with yourself, but be open. Please, like, if you need to mourn, if you need to feel bad, make space for it. Feel it all the way. Like, don't pretend like you're not feeling it, because that's another reason why we get trapped in these feelings sometimes, is that we don't feel it all the way and we end up mourning it in pieces. And so like, just let yourself say like, okay, today or this hour or this week, I'm gonna let myself have it, and then in 4 days I'm going to be a big girl or big boy or a big lady, and I'm going to take some action, whatever that means for you, whether that means I'm going to practice learning what it means to create boundaries, or I'm going to journal what I learned about watching other people who behave in this way so I can find the pattern, right? Like, take that action. Okay. So again, look at where Aquarius and Capricorn is in your natal chart. And I'll put like my favorite free natal chart creator site in the description box. They're not sponsoring me. It'd be great if they would. I just really like the site. I'll put that below so you can create your natal chart. If you don't know what time you were born, I have a TikTok about this, but of course that's 60 seconds. I'll go back and make a longer video about how to figure that out. It's pretty involved, but if you're interested in learning how to do it, because you're like, I don't have a path to ever finding when I was born, what time I was born, I will make a video about that. I did that with my dad's chart because we didn't, you know, Black folks born in Mississippi, rural in the 50s, nobody really cared about record keeping like that, unfortunately. So like, I've had to do this for a lot of older people in my family to find their birth time, and we have no proof that it's exact, but based on what I know about their traits, I feel really confident in what we found. Now, to the money portion of this, I meant money like, here's what you've been waiting on, but it's like actually money. GE Motors was founded during Mercury in retrograde. What does it mean? So again, retrograde is the art of bringing something back. Bring it back now, y'all. Anyways, and then the planet, the area of rulership of the planet is the area that things come back. Mercury in retrograde, communication. But Mercury also rules over thought, and the process and the way I process things. And so I think that's what people miss. People are like, my ex-boyfriend's coming back and we're going to squash our issues. Or he's coming back to force you to think differently about the things you allow in your life or what you really want. You know, sometimes it is like he's coming back as a lesson as I don't want him, but maybe he's coming back as a lesson because like you do want him. You know what I mean? Like you need to, I was doing it again. You need to think more critically. Kady, be nicer. You should probably consider that there's different, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Anyways, but you need to think more critically. You need to think more critically about what these things can mean. You also need to think about Aquarius type things. Aquarius type things, again, it's the collective, it's philanthropy, it's innovation, it's change. So there's something moving forward, there's something progressing. This might even be like your tower moment, like me, that pushes you forward into the space that you're able to serve your community. For some of you, you're not going to be spiritualists. For some of you, you're not going to be artists. Some of you, it's whatever you do. Maybe you are artists. Maybe you are spiritualists. Maybe you're a doctor. Maybe you want to study law. Maybe you realize a nonprofit that you want to start. Okay, so a lot of these things that are coming back are going to put you in a place of like, how can I serve the collective and how can I do this digitally, right? Like, how can I take my business digital as we move deeper, as we get closer to Pluto entering Aquarius, right? Where so much of the focus will be on the internet and so much is changing of the economic structure, not just in America, but around the world, okay? And so the reason also why Mercury gets caught up in commerce is that like there is no commerce without connection and communication, right? I can't sell you something if I cannot connect with you, right? So Mercury also has an influence in that place. Mercury is also the protector. I feel like people don't talk about that enough. That's why if you do protection work specifically in hoodoo, I don't know if this is also the day for other practices. Please let me know below. I'd love to learn more. But in hoodoo, Mercury Day, Wednesday is the day you would, it's recommended to do protection work because Mercury is the protector. Associated, I don't know if it's through hoodoo associated this way, so I won't say it's hoodoo, but like there are spiritual practices that associate it with Archangel Michael, who is the protector. You know, you work with him when you need help. Like when I needed people to stop attacking me for speaking up about my abuse story, I work with Archangel Michael. Don't know where they are now. God bless. So yeah, so the thing I would take away from this is that can you run or launch a business in a way where you can delegate the things that can get you caught up in communication? Like, is there someone who can help me with email communication? Is there somebody who can help me with social media communication? That type of thing. I feel like if you have the ability to delegate the things that might fall through the cracks, have support, I don't think you need to necessarily fear it. I wouldn't sign necessarily contracts. Let's start there. I wouldn't take I don't know that I would take like a loan in the middle of Mercury and Venus in retrograde. It was fine in Venus in retrograde by itself, but now Venus and Mercury is in retrograde. I don't know that I would take a loan. I don't know that I would make a big purchase, right? If you have to like buy a $3,000 computer, maybe not. But if you can use oh, my computer, God bless it. Hey, guys, if you want to donate to help me buy a computer, my Cash App is the same. I'm sorry. Patronize my store. Can you guys see this? My baby's on the last leg. Like, this is not a luxury. The keyboard literally doesn't work. The mouse literally does anyways, buy my products. Support Black business. I would make a big purchase, but like if it's as simple as setting up a t-shirt shop, setting up a subscription for a shop, I don't see why you couldn't, because like there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the chart. It is aspecting Uranus, so let's say that's a lot of the losses that happen will happen because Uranus is like, pop, surprise. You didn't see this coming, but here it is. And Uranus is in Taurus, the sign of money. So it's 50-50. Like, it's like, surprise, money, or surprise, you lost some money. Like, girl, I just saw a receipt for some shit I didn't even know I had a free trial to. Check them damn free trial subscriptions right now, please. So it's like Retrograde and Mercury. Mercury in retrograde, aspecting Uranus and Taurus, can bring success to people who have the right things set up in the right way. Does that make sense? Don't fear it. Check your damn chart. Be prepared emotionally, spiritually, energetically, and businessically. Okay. That's all I can say right now, right? Drop your questions below. I'm going to be active on YouTube today because I'm new. So like I will try to respond to as much as I can. And going forward, guys, I'm recording a bunch of these today. Now the editing is where, shit goes wrong, but I'm recording like 5 or 6 videos today. So the intent is that this page will have a new video every day. So you can tune in here every day for a new topic under the umbrella of spirituality. Under the umbrella of spirituality and astrology. I have a lot of stuff to say about a lot of things. Mercury's baby. Virgo stellium in the 6th house. Chatty chat pants. So feel free to chat with me below. Make sure you subscribe so that you get the daily updates, and you can request comment below. Yes, I'm trying to like bulk create, and to fight the neurodivergency, because what happens, it's just hard to be consistent when you have ADHD, guys. But I'm like, I can do, but like you get those bursts of energies, like I can do everything right now. So I'm gonna like gun through as many videos as I can, edit as many as I can, and schedule them. So for at least the next week, you will have a new video every day. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Follow me here. No, subscribe. That's the phrase. Subscribe. But also follow me on Instagram. Please. Please. It's Legend of Roxy as of today. The KadyRoxz archive is an archive. It's old. I abandoned that page because it just wasn't working for me anymore. So follow my new page. Okay. Okay. Cool. Thank you for watching. What's that?